Alright, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be talking about this light right here. So this, as you can tell, is not a SureFire. This is actually a knockoff of a SureFire. So here's the model number right here. It's the same model number as a SureFire, but they put some little claims on here that says that, hey, this is not actually a SureFire. So it's the M600V again, so it has the standard Picatinny mount that is removable, and you can see in there you can take this off and attach it to any sort of Scout style mounting system you want to. Here is the specifications. And again, I bought this with my own money. I believe it was around $70 or $72 whenever I bought it. I bought it off, I don't remember if I bought it off Amazon or eBay. I bought it off eBay. But you can find, I don't think they actually sell this on Amazon for some reason, but there are just white light only versions of this that are copies of the SureFire on Amazon for about 35 bucks. Just to kind of show you a comparison to the SureFire lengthwise, this SureFire actually has the combo tail cap on the end, so ignore that. But the body is very similar. You can see it's a little bit taller. On the end sticks out a little bit further, but the body for the most part is pretty much the same. And whenever you put the regular tail cap on the end of both of these, it's pretty much the same length on that aspect. It's just the bezel is longer on this one, but it has the same. It has a white light, it has off, and it has IR. And you can hear it's a fairly hard to move bezel. It's easier to move than the SureFire is, which you could say is good or a bad thing, but I've never accidentally bumped it. Now, in case you're wondering, this right here, why I have it on here, this is actually what I've been testing this light on, and this is just an airsoft gun. It's a Lancer Tactical, in case you're curious. The Eotech on here is what is it? It's the AKfire. They actually sent that out to me. I requested it because I wanted a Eotech size optic on here that I'm not actually using the optic at all. I just put it on here because I wanted it to take up space so it could be as close to my actual gun as possible. And you can see this one is very, very similar to my actual rifle setup. So this gives me a way to test out all my NVG stuff out in my backyard, out in the woods, wherever I want to, whenever I can't actually go somewhere and use, NVGs with my actual firearms, because that's a really hard thing to do, hard place to find to actually be able to let you shoot at night. So this is a way for me to just kind of test out all my crap. For me, it's actually been a lot of fun so far, and it's actually been a really good and effective way for me to test out all of my stuff, other than just going around the house, I guess. But this is a Unity Tactical. You can see it's their tap switch. I absolutely love this thing, and I'll talk a little bit about that more later here. And you can see I have a Hollow Sun. It's just I believe it's the LS117 IR. That's just the IR only. It doesn't have a visible laser, and it doesn't have an illuminator on there. So in case you're wondering, I do have nice things on there. So, but if you're looking for this kind of, just a practice tool set, obviously, if you just have Gen 1 NVGs like I do, it's a single tube back there, you can't aim through this regardless, so I didn't actually need this as a real optic. And I will say it has held 0 for an airsoft gun, for what it's worth. The buttons on here do not do, they actually, that's the green and red switch back and forth reticle. Up and down is just brightness, and it turns off like an Eotech. You push both at the same time, but for what it is, I think it was around 50, 60 bucks, somewhere in that range. Works pretty well. So, about this light, I will tell you right now, if you're looking to spend less than $100 on an IR white light, combo light, just pause the video, go to eBay, find this thing, buy it. You're not going to be disappointed with it, because I like this light quite a bit. And I'll show you some video footage here in a little bit about me showing, it's out in my backyard, showing what the white light looks like in comparison to all of these lights around here, along with what the IR looks like compared to all the lights that are on here as well. So let me go over what it comes with. So it comes with this little tail cap on the back, which you can see it just screws off. So this is the light switch. You can see it plugs in right there, and it takes standard SureFire style plugs. So this is a SureFire, this is a dual tape switch. The other side would be for like a PEC 15 or something. So this plugs in just fine, snaps right in, and it works. They also include a regular tail switch that's, it's clicky, works just fine. If you like that, great. If you don't, then swap it out. But it comes with both of them. And again, for 70 bucks, something like that, it's a fairly good deal, because it comes with all the things that you would want. It also comes with a cheap pressure pad, tape switch, whatever you want to call it. It does work. It uses, again, the standard little switch on here, and I'll show you in it. It does have a good solid, I mean, it's not going anywhere. And there you go. works just fine. So something everyone is wondering is, can you use the tail switch like this one right here from SureFire on this light? I've seen other videos where it works, and I've seen videos where it doesn't. Mine does not work, so I tried taking this off of my actual SureFire and putting it on here, and it would work sometimes if you twisted it just right, and it would work in that position, and then sometimes it would just stop working randomly, which was strange, and then I couldn't get to work again, and then randomly it would. So I would say just assume it won't take SureFire tail caps. So that's I guess a negative for this, but again, for 70 bucks, what do you expect? Honestly, I don't really use this. You could if you want, but this works with all SureFire plugs. So I showed you it works with the one it comes with. Here's a SureFire. This is just their dual tape switch. Plug in, good solid plug in, and wrong button. It would help if it's on. So there you go. Works just fine. And again, this is momentary only. No problems whatsoever. Sorry if I just drove you, but works just fine. Didn't have a problem. It also works, and this is the reason, again, why I have this airsoft gun out here. So this Unity Tactical, it's their TAPS mount. This is the version 1, so one light controls, or one button controls both of these at the exact same time, and then the other one just controls the white light. And if you buy some mini rant right here, I don't understand why SureFire makes this light that is a white light IR light combo, because this is specifically designed, in my opinion, to go with a IR laser only. Like, if you have an IR laser and that's all you have, you don't have a IR illuminator built into it, you need something like this. But whenever you're shooting under night vision, you need to be able to illuminate your target and aim with your laser at the exact same time with one button. Because if you have a button for each, it's really, really hard. You either have to leave the light on, or you have to leave the laser on all the time and then activate the other one with your push button. You can't hit two push buttons at the same time, obviously, because you only have a thumb, unless you did some sort of weird trigger thing on the bottom. I guess you could do that. You could put a tape switch on the bottom, hit it with this finger, and put one on the top of this finger. But that's really weird and awkward, and then whenever you go setting your stuff on barricade, you're going to activate lights and whatnot, which is dumb, so don't do that. But you absolutely, with this light, with this style of light, need to fork out the money and buy this tape switch. This thing is amazing. It works perfectly. The SureFire one, in case you're wondering, like, you can only activate either your laser or your light. So you may think that's a little strange. Oh, he bought a $125 tape switch that costs more than this light itself. Sure did, but I bought this kind of as a trial run, and maybe that's what you want to use this light for, is to see if you even like the idea of buying one of these before you actually fork out, the $400. I actually got this on Black Friday, so I got this thing for about $320, $325, somewhere in there. So there are deals out there, but I bought it to see if I even like the idea of the vampire, and turns out I did, so I went ahead and spent the money on a real one. Now, the question is, do you need to spend the money on a real one, or is this one good enough for $70? I will say this. I am very, very impressed with this light. Does it replace, or is that as good as this light? No. Is it close? Yes. Now, I will say, and I'll show you again here in a minute, the flood, or I guess the IR light on this one is more of a flood, versus on this one it's more of a hotspot. Now, I will say this one actually is better at throwing for distance under IR than something like this Inforce light. I'll tell you right now, if you're looking for a white light, IR light combo, don't even bother with this. It's not worth the money. It's like $125 to $140 depending on where you get it. And for half the price, this thing's better all around. The IR on it is better than the Inforce. The white light is better than the Inforce. The Inforce is, I won't say garbage, it works, but it's only good for CQB distance stuff. It's not good for any sort of distance whatsoever. If you have Gen 3 nods, then this would work obviously better. I have Gen 1, so the illuminator on here is pretty pathetic. Now, the illuminator on this one is not a whole lot better, but I would say it's probably about 30% better. You get a little bit more throw. The only negative thing about this, and again, you'll see in a minute, is instead of having kind of a hot spot in the middle, it has more of a hot spot. It's kind of a focused flood, if that makes sense, but there's kind of a dead spot in the middle where you don't get a whole lot of illumination. So where you normally have the brightest part of the light, it's actually dimmer than everything around it. So, and that's just because you can see, hopefully it'll focus on that. their bezel. So right now, the bezel is focused on the white light. So as you twist it, here's in the off position. Now it's in the IR. The IR isn't exactly perfectly focused in the middle like it is on the SureFire. I'll show you that here in a second. So because of that, you get that kind of dead spot in the middle. With the white light, it's amazing. You actually get really good candela, you get really good throw with that white light because it's focused in the center. So you can see on the actual SureFire, you can see it's perfectly centered on the white light right now. Switch over, here's in the off position. Now the IR is perfectly centered yet again. So this is why this one has such good throw and a good hot spot in the IR and the white light, because it's actually made very precise to be able to do that. So it's kind of a bummer that this won't take that switch, because I really wanted this switch, and I haven't found anybody who makes a knockoff of this specifically that I can throw on there, because I really want the option of having a on-off permanent switch as well as a tape switch. That way I don't constantly have to be holding down on a pressure pad if I want some light. Because again, you're going to be using this with IR light as well as a white light. So that's why I really wish this thing would take that. But it's not a huge deal. It works just fine with the Uni Tactical. It works fine with the SureFire, and it works fine with the little cheapo one that it comes with for free. So that's pretty cool. It does also come with, I took it off, but it comes with a little cap that fits on this one right here. I just ripped it off because it just got in the way and it annoyed me. It also comes with, you know, some sort of little glue strip. So you can attach it to your rifle if you choose to do that. Here is the Inforce. This is the 2-battery one that's 700 lumens. It's the IR white light combo. You can see it's kind of a flood. Hopefully this gives you a good representation of what it looks like. The camera's gonna do some funky things trying to focus, so sorry about that. It lights up the tree line. It's probably about twice as bright on to the naked eye as what you can see on camera. So those trees I can see fairly well, but really about 10 feet into the trees, it starts disappearing. So that's what that looks like. And here is the SureFire Scout knockoff next to us. So SureFire knockoff over here, Inforce on the right. You can see up close, nearly identical. The hotspot on this one is a little bit tighter. Actually, it's quite a bit tighter. So at the shed, you can see the Inforce. Now I'll shine this one at the shed, the knockoff. You can see it's got a pretty defined hotspot. It lights up the shed a little bit more. Hopefully that shows that. And that's just because the candela is better. I think it has, the Inforce has like that orange peel style reflector. So as you can see, the one over here, the knockoff, lights up the woods a little bit better. You can see in there it has this D's amount of throw. You can see those trees back there versus you can barely see them with that one. So there, Inforce, knockoff, SureFire light. So you can see this one has a lot more lumens. It's 1,000 lumens compared to this one over here. Kind of pitiful on camera. And I will say it's not as drastic, again, to the naked eye as it appears on camera. Just know this one over here is 1,000 lumens. This one's advertised as 400. And I believe the knockoff one, again, is probably closer to 300 lumens, in my opinion. It's still adequate for, you know, how much it costs and all that, and for how many lumens it is. It's, I would say, roughly half as bright as this Streamlight over here, and I think it's just because it has a better candela rating, or at least I would assume it does, because to my naked eye, it's about 30% dimmer, the knockoff is, over the Streamlight. On camera, I don't know if it picks that up or not, but it still performs very well. We'll turn this one off over here. You can see what it looks like. Again, here is the knockoff. Here is the Streamlight. Zoom in, it'll focus. There it goes. So again, there's a lot more candela and a lot more lumens with this Streamlight, but hopefully this gives you a good representation. Here's what they look like up close. So you can see they are very similar up close. This one just has more flood along with the beam in the middle. So as you go up, you can see. All right, then let me switch hands. And I did replace the batteries in these things, so they all are on fresh batteries. And just so you can see over here, there's the Streamlight on the left and the knockoff SureFire on the right. All right, so now again, here is the knockoff. I'm going to start up close, and then here's an actual SureFire Vampire. You can see it is brighter. The real one is brighter. It's on the right hand. I would say the one on the left probably is, I would say, close to 300 lumens. And this one, because the candela is so good, it actually looks like it's significantly brighter. But again, so you can see what that looks like. I'll cross the beams. Ghostbuster reference. So again, real SureFire Vampire, or it's the white light IR, and it's a 2-cell one, the Scout. So you can see what it looks like. Has pretty good throw. It has excellent candela. This thing is able to keep up, and I'll show you here in a second. It's able to keep up with that Streamlight, the 1000 lumen monster, and I was very impressed. So to my naked eye, the real SureFire over here is acting like most 700 to 800 lumen lights that I've experienced, just because it has such a good candela. It has such a good hot spot, such good throw. I'm very impressed with it. So you can see what that looks like over there. Now I'll turn this one off to the side so you can kind of see. It has very, I wouldn't say it's very close, but side by side, I'm very impressed with the knockoff. Again, knockoff's on the left hand side. You can see there's a little bit of different color to them. Now let me switch hands so you can see what they look like, just so it's a fair comparison, because one's shining at the shed, one's shining off at the distance. All right, here you go. So here's the knockoff over here and the real SureFire over here. You can see it kind of lights up the trees, and it kind of goes into that little spot back there. There's a few trees farther back. This one is still able to light those up. All right, and here is the Inforce. This is the IR right here. You can see, again, it's more of a flood. You can kind of see there is a little bit of a hot spot, but it's pretty much all flood. So you can see it up close, still flood. Point at the ground, point at the sky, point at the shed, point at the ground. So you can see, again, flood, you can't see much trees. That's just the way it is. This is probably the closest comparison to the SureFire knockoff. All right, here's the SureFire knockoff. Again, you can see it's about the same brightness, I would say, as that Inforce. Maybe a little bit better, a little bit farther throw, just a smidgen, but it has that dead spot in the middle, which again, it still lights up. Like, that dead spot in the middle is not completely dead. It's just not as bright as the areas around it. So that's a little obnoxious, but again, without it, and I'll come across, you can see it actually has a defined pattern to it. So I would say it is better than the Inforce, because it has an actual, I don't want to say beam to it, but it's not that orange peel style reflector. So you actually get a little bit more throw to it. The only negative I have, again, is that dead spot. All right, and here is the real SureFire. So you can see, and it shows up actually pretty well on camera. It's not going to focus super well, sorry. But you can see this is the IR. You can see it is a much more focused beam. It's actually a pretty good comparison. I will say, looking through this to the naked eye, it doesn't quite look as good as what you're seeing on here, but I am wearing glasses right now, so it's hard to get a good focus on my NVGs, so sorry about that. But you can see it does have a significant hot spot compared to the knockoff version. Again, this is the real SureFire 640V. You get probably, I would say, about twice the distance out of this as you do on the other one, but you don't get as much flood. So the other one gives you more flood, has that dead spot. This one actually is useful to looking out at distance. Here's the candela monster, the Cyansky. I think that's, again, how you pronounce it. So assuming I can get this to focus, there it goes. All right, so again, this thing is just a, I don't know if you'd call it Lumen, but this IR light is ridiculous. So I would say the Cyansky is probably twice as bright, and you get about twice the throw as you do with the actual SureFire. It's significantly better than a SureFire knockoff, obviously. So if you want just an IR only light, this one, out of all the ones I've tested so far, this one is by far the best. There it goes. Again, you can see Inforce IR, more of a flood. Here is the knockoff SureFire. See, there's the hot spot, or well, the lack of a hot spot, I guess I should say. But you got more throw on this one. You can actually see the stuff in the background, versus the Inforce would not do that. All right, there it goes. So you can see this one definitely works better than the Inforce. Here's the SureFire, the actual SureFire. You can see on there it has better throw than the other two does, or than the other two do. It has much better hotspot. It is better. I don't know, again, it's $300 better, but it is better. You get better throw with this. And the reason I'm not impressed with this is because the Cyansky is significantly better, which you're about to see. Now here's the Cyansky, and you can tell, much better. Much better. Super blinding up close, and it's so bright you can't actually see the detail in the camera, but to the naked eye it really illuminates that spot right there. So again, now granted, it's kind of an unfair comparison. The battery power for this thing is significantly better. The type of battery it's using, the flashlight's about twice the size, and it's an IR only light, so it's not sharing between a white light feature. So my final thought is, should you buy this light? I think the answer is yes. $70. If nothing else, you can use this as kind of a throwaway light. Throw it on a gun that you say use for training at work or for simunitions. Something that you want to use as kind of a sacrificial lens kind of thing. You can throw this on there and it still works well enough, especially for like simunition stuff, where you could put this on there, and if it gets shot in the lens, you know, with a Sims gun, then you know, who cares? You know, it's not your actual SureFire, so you could use it for that. You could use it for training, like what I'm doing on this airsoft gun. That way I don't have to constantly take my actual SureFire on and off my gun and constantly all the time. I can just leave this one on there and it works just the same with the tape switch and everything. But I will say, so compared to all these, don't buy this. This is the last on my list to buy. I would put this one probably next, and then I would put the SureFire last. Now, granted, is this thing worth another $300 over this? In my opinion, no, it's not. I think SureFire should be making this light, I don't want to say cheaper, because they make good quality things, and obviously that's going to be more durable than this. But as long as you're not beating your stuff against the wall all the time, I think this would probably serve you fine. But this is a better light than this Chinese knockoff. And again, you can see in the video why. But if you're one of those people where you don't want to spend more than, say, I don't know, $150 to $200, honestly, this is probably the only option that's out there that's under $200 that works. Again, I've only had this thing for about a month and a half, and I've been playing with it pretty regularly, and I haven't had any problems with it whatsoever. It's worked 100%, never had a problem, it hasn't. In my opinion, if you are even considering buying this SureFire, go ahead and buy this right now, because it's a good training tool. It's good, and it'll tell you whether or not you actually want one. And honestly, you might consider this good enough, and I don't think you'd be mad buying this and then deciding to go ahead and get that. I was kind of disappointed with this one's performance compared to this thing. I thought this was going to be significantly better, and it wasn't. It was only, you know, maybe a third better, something like that, which it's still better, and it's still, you know, a solid light, and it takes all the different stuff on here that I want. But for the price, this thing should be much better than that. But anyways, if you guys have any questions about this light specifically, let me know. Again, the model number is back there. I'll try to put links to all this stuff below so you can find it all. If you have any questions, let me know. Like the video. That helps us out a lot. It helps people find us. Comment down below. Comment anything crazy, I don't know. Put something fun down there. That also helps people find us as well. But if you guys have any questions, let us know. Check out our Instagram page, and have a good one.